Welcome to the Michigan Travel Show, a kaleidoscope of stories about the people, places, and events that shape our great state.
Hi, welcome to Michigan Travel. I'm Ken Stevens, and today we're at the Michigan Legacy Art Park, just outside of Thompsonville, Michigan. It's on 115 out of Cadillac before you get to Lake Michigan. It's at the Crystal Mountain Resort. It's a ski resort, golf resort, and the home of the Michigan Legacy Art Park, where over 35 acres of woodland is filled with sculpture about the history of Michigan by Michigan artists. It's the seventh year for the Michigan Legacy Art Park. Well, it makes a wonderful trip up to northwest Michigan. You're just really about 20 minutes from Lake Michigan. Crystal Mountain is a major contributor to the art park. The art park is an independent corporation, and the land here is contributed by Crystal Mountain Resort for a measly $1 a year. So come on up to northwest Michigan and see some art in the park. It's on to Noggin. It's one of the newer pieces. In fact, the artist, John Richardson from Wayne State University, who's head of their sculpture program down there, just finished it. And it's to commemorate the mining industry. We brought that huge piece of iron ore down. It was donated by the Empire Mines from the UP. And the piece sort of is to suggest some of the conveyors that might have taken ore up, dropped it through into the smelters, and you have the remnants of trusses here for representing the kind of things that iron built here in the state of Michigan. And it's like almost everything here has some reference to important history in Michigan. Looking at Red Demon here by artist Jim Pallas. Jim is a Detroit artist, and you might say, what does this have to do with Michigan? But part of it is that it's one of hundreds of different types of monsters that you find in the forest. Think of all the different cultures that have great forest monsters. Well, Red Demon is ours. And in fact, kids come here and write stories. You can even go to our website, Mich Legacy Art Park, and read stories that the kids write about who is Red Demon. It's the wise old owl. You're at the entrance of Discovery Grove, something that is really about 2 years old for us, but it's one of our really prize areas in that all year long our artists work with schools in the area, and each summer then we put up an exhibit that demonstrates the work that they've done over the course of the winter, and it ranges all over the place. They do science projects, math projects, of course art projects, they do writing projects. This is Diversity. It's the newest piece by our art director, David Barr. David, in fact, was the person who inspired the art park, and he has work all over the world. But this particular piece I know he's very proud of, and that it really comments on not only things like the diversity of the human race, but there's a fascinating thing there is how many generations would it take for your parents to generate 4,294,967. Anyhow, it takes only 40 generations to go from 2 people to over 4 billion people. It's been a really good year for us, actually, at the art park. We've installed 7 new pieces. This is one of them by David Greenwood, artist out of Grand Rapids. It's part of a ship series, and of course commemorates the Great Lakes shipping. Okay, we have an amphitheater in the Michigan Legacy Art Park, and we do a concert series here every year. In fact, it just ended, closed on the 9th of August, but all through July and well into August, we have concerts here every single weekend. Another Detroit artist, Lois Teicher, did this piece, the Bonnet. It's, as you can see, it's huge, and also sort of not only commemorating all of the work and contributions of pioneer women in Michigan, but I'm fascinated with those ribbons. They're so delicate, and yet they're cement. Every time I see people sit on them, I think, how in the world can that possibly sustain it? This piece is the first in a series of pieces by students in Interlaken. We have a partnership with their sculpture program there, and every 2 years, the senior students submit proposals for the art park, and our jury selects one of those pieces and then installs it. And this is the first one. It's fun to sit where I am because you can sit there and look through the frame and see the forest. It's sort of a hat. It's sort of a fedora if you look closely at it, and that was the intent. Actually, artist Bob Caskey thought that a way to look at history might be to look at all of the different headgear that people wore over the years. And I think, too, if you think about it, think back over the history of Michigan, think of all the headgear, all of the feathers, all of the different kind of hats, from mining hats to fedoras like this to Homburgs and on and on. It's an interesting thought, anyhow. Artist Mike McGillis created this one. It's called Five Needles, and commemorates both the five needles of the state pine tree, the white pine, and of course also the sailing ships that were made from those great trees and sailed the Great Lakes. This is outside of Stockade Labyrinth. It's the History Art Park, Michigan Legacy Art Park, and it deals with Michigan history. And this particular piece deals with early history, the history of American Indians who camped outside of the French fort, in this case, Fort Corray, and actually did a great deal of trading with the French trappers and traders. You move from here inside of the fort, and you move into a maze. Throughout the entire fort's a maze. At each dead end in the maze is another sculpture commemorating something in Michigan history. Eventually you end up all the way at the top, 3 stories above all of it, and look down and see this amazing natural forest all over the place. And here we are at the top of Fort Corray. There's an interesting quote up here. Life can only be understood backwards, even though we have to live it forwards. And in a way, that's what this piece is about, because you walk all the way through history, and then you can stand up here and look down and see all of the artwork that commemorates Michigan's history. And certainly, you can see those forests, which at one time had been almost completely harvested and now have been completely restored. This is probably one of the more whimsical pieces in the park. It's by artist Dewey Blocksma. People who've been to Traverse City may recognize his style from the river god that he built there in the entrance of the Riverwalk. But here everything moves, everything blows in the wind, and that indeed is what it is. It's a wind machine. For further information about the Michigan Legacy Art Park, you can visit our website, www.michilegacyartpark.org.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time on the Michigan Travel Show.